Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Fantastic Four Dragon Man. And I just found out today that he's an android. I never knew anything about the character, so I wanted to look it up this time. I was curious. He's an android. Can anybody explain to me why this android looks like a man-dragon with a giant brain head? I would love to know the backstory there. In my very cursory search, I did not find that information. But yeah, he's an android, and it's an interesting thing because this is a, what, $100 figure for Hasbro? And, well, it's still a Hasbro product, but maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. It seems that people are pretty much liking it. I've seen a few posts here and there, it just got to most people, so it seems like the consensus is pretty cool, but we're going to find out if it's actually a good figure. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you, he's a little bit too big for what I have going on. I want to show you my package. It's a big one this time, and it's nice. I like it. There's no window because there's no need for that, I guess, when you're simply shipping it to people, except for the people who collect in box and want to show off the figure, not a photo or a render of the figure. So that's definitely a bummer. It looks nice, I'll give you that. I don't know about having the Fantastic Four bellies there, or Fantastic 3 bellies, and then heads up here. That's an interesting choice, simply because this doesn't show the character of that you bought, and then the front just shows their bellies. It's a little bit of a weird design choice. I'm not sure, maybe an intern came up with that or whatever, but this looks nice. This looks really nice, makes the figure look better than it does in real life, of course. That's fine. On the side, more of the same. On the back, they put they put almost no effort into this package. He's standing, and he's also standing with his arm up, so you get some options there. Yeah, it's fine, like whatever, it ships the figure. That's all it needs to do, I guess, unless you're collecting on the card or in the box, which I don't, but I know some do. Alright, so let's see, this guy stands just about, let's call it 10 3/4 to the top of his head, including the very tippity top of the wings. It's about 11.5, maybe just a touch above that, and of course you can pose them a little bit, so there'll be some variance there. That's going to be about 27 to the noggin and 29, give or take, to the wings. Here he is up against Darwin. Alright, and then here you go with a pretty comparable sort of figure. He's not that much bigger than Hulk. Like, he is, don't get me wrong, he's bigger, but if it wasn't for his giant noggin, the body's not that much bigger. It is bigger, but this guy's only $60, came with a bunch of stuff, and this guy's $100, so there's something there. Now you're thinking this is all new sculpt. You're right, it is, and that's fair, and Hulk should have been too. Okay, so let's talk about this. First of all, question of the day, what do you think about releases like this from Hasbro, where it's just like, hey, we're making this, you pre-order it, you get one, you don't pre-order it, you don't get one, that sort of deal. Do you like that? It's basically a mini HasLab without some sort of stretch goal. Or not stretch goal, but a criteria for making it get produced. So I don't know, I'm not against it terribly, but is it just their way of creating FOMO initially and getting people to spend money on things they might otherwise not? I think so. I can't really fault them for that. It's better than doing the thing they did with Spider-Man where they're like, hey look, it's selling out everywhere, and then they were just lying about it like it's not selling out anywhere. I don't know. I'm okay with it, I guess. Now, the big question, is this guy worth the $100? Is this guy worth the price point? Well, for Hasbro Marvel Legends standards, I think so. I think it's a lot closer to in line with what people would expect for the money and a Hasbro release. Is it objectively worth it? Probably not, because it is just a slightly bigger Marvel Legends figure. I say slightly bigger compared to somebody like Hulk. It's not huge. It's good size, but it is all new sculpt. So it's not anywhere near a terrible value as some of the other things have been, like Hulk, for instance. So I think a lot of people are going to be able to get by on this price point. They're going to be able to justify it, and as you'll see in the review, I think there's enough going on here to say, like, oh yeah, it's probably too expensive, but I'm still happy to have it in my collection. That sort of thing. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic on this guy. Basically just molded purple, with a little bit of silver and purple spread around, which I don't know if that's a good look. Like, okay, so they have it on his scales. You can see the notable scales are darker purple and shiny, but then they also ran it down the middle where there's no scales. So that's a weird look. And like if they just did some shading, fine, but they didn't. They did the same purple and silver, so it's supposed to be the same look, and it's not consistent. But it's also not consistent even on his arms. Like right here, we don't have any. We have some of the silver, but none of the purple. And over here we have some purple. It's still a very obviously Hasbro product. That's unfortunate, I think. They do paint his fingernails. That's nice. They paint the toenails. That's nice. The eyes look pretty good. They don't look anywhere near as good as they do on the box, but they still look nice. They're pretty far in there, so it's kind of hard to get some light on them. But they look good. So that's fine. And then they did this thing here. They did a wash on his face, which actually looks really nice on this whole part here. Well, not the jaw. I don't think there's any down here. It's only on this piece of plastic, which is just super cheap and lazy. I mean, it's cheap. It's not really lazy. I don't think they care about the effort. They care about the cost, which ultimately is effort. But it actually looks really, really nice on here. And I'm guessing, is it actually a wash or is it tampo? I don't think it's actually a wash because some of the spots are not where there are recesses. So it looks like it might be tampography or maybe a mix of the both. I don't know. Either way, it looks nice on here, but it isn't anywhere else at all on the figure. So it makes it stand out. They've done the same thing on their regular Marvel Legends a lot of the times where the face has all kinds of detail and the rest of the figure has none. So that's a thing. But otherwise, the paint job's decent. These wings, the purple ones, have a little bit of the dark shading in the top. The other wings have shading, and, well, you'll see those in the accessory section. But it looks good enough that he put them on the back, too. I appreciate that. The tail has the same purple and silver on it as the rest. The trunks are a little bit like... There should be some kind of shading on them, too, because they look just like brown, shiny. It doesn't look great, but generally, I think the figure looks pretty good. For a Hasbro figure, it's going to stand out. It has a really nice sculpt, except for one thing. It looks nice. It looks really, really nice. It has good proportioning. The shoulders don't sit too low. He's got nice broad shoulders, appropriately sized torso and legs. I think it's a really, really, really good sculpt. The only thing that bothers me, and it's not a huge deal because you could argue he's supposed to have weird proportions or weird anatomy anyway, is the way they've done the chest in order to get the butterfly to work. The chest just disappears. It goes from pecs to nothing. Like, they're not even close to looking like they should. And they don't have the pecs connecting. Like, this isn't sculpted like pecs. It's just a spherical shape with some lines on it that match up here, but not really. The lines don't even match up with the lines on here. So I think the chest definitely could look a lot better. You don't notice it that much given the character's design, but he does look really, really good. I have to say, if you had a shelf of Marvel Legends, which most of you do, most of you do probably, this guy's going to stand out for sure. Not just because he's a big purple dragon robot guy, but because he looks pretty darn good compared to most Marvel Legends. So I'm going to give an aesthetic rating of 8 out of 10. It's still pretty good. The way they've not done the shading effectively throughout does take some points away, and having the wash or whatever it is on the face but nowhere else, some points away, things like that, or a point away, whatever, could look nicer. I'll do another question of the day since we're going to the accessories. Which kind of wings do you like for him? Not open or closed, but purple or pink or orange or whatever they are. I'm a purple wing guy. Always have been for Dragon Man. I don't know why. Never really had an opinion on the character other than he seemed like he should have purple wings. So as far as accessories go, we do have the two wings. We have the purple wings that are closed and the orange wings that are more open. And they are surprisingly well done. The paint job on the back of the wings, not as great on the open ones, but the orange or pink, whatever you want to call it, that looks pretty darn nice. You have some shading on there and it looks good. For hands, you have the two open hands, then you have the two fist hands. I guess that's fine. Somebody commented in one of my videos the other day how all the open hands on Marvel Legends have this weird clench going on, and it's kind of worthless, like you want more of an open claw type hand. I agree. The reason they do the clench, I guess, is for him to hold another figure maybe or something. I think they should just have the open claw hand and a gripping hand rather than this quasi clench and grip. So I don't know. But you get those. Then you get his book, which is cool on the outside but unfinished on the inside. That's just cheap. Just finish it. Then you get his glasses, which fit onto his nose pretty well, and they're pretty well done. But again, I found out today this guy's an android. Why does he need glasses? That's weird. Okay, so accessories are fine. Alternate wings, cool. The rest, minimal. Given the character, 7 out of 10. Alternate wings should be a standard. This should have been how all of the NECA gargoyles came, too. They didn't, unfortunately. But okay, let's see if he can pose pretty well. I have a warning for you. There's a problem. There's a serious problem on mine, and I'm wondering if you guys have it too, but there are actually kind of two problems. So I want to start with the wings, though. They do pop on and off pretty easily, and you're not going to do it a bunch, especially with these ones, but they do rotate nicely, and they have the hinge, which is not super useful, especially on these because of the way they fold up, so that's a poor design choice. Hasbro should have done a better job. The angle's wrong. If you wanted these wings to fold back to have a hinge on them, they should just fold straight back. This should not be at an angle. It should be perfectly horizontal so you can fold the wings back. That kind of sucks, but whatever. You know what? Let me pop the other one on real quick just so you can see how it works on this one, because it is a review after all. Alright, so you fold the wing out, lift it up. That's how you would have it mostly. Looks great. No real complaints about that. Folding this one back, it does the same thing. Now you can rotate it, but not really. I mean, kind of. It's just not the right angle. So on either set of wings, the hinge is almost worthless because Hasbro put the angle in there wrong. So that really sucks. Otherwise, the wings are executed very nicely. The connection point works well. And the hinge is a nice hinge, it just is at the wrong angle. Alright, so, articulation-wise, it does have a mouth that opens. It looks pretty darn good inside. Not anything special, but it looks nice. Sculpt is good. The tongue can move independently, and that's good. No problems there. Now, for the head, they managed to give this guy, even with this giant melon, a giant lollipop. They gave him a lollipop, and they went with the old school neck. It's like, come on, Hasbro, you're not learning your lessons. Also, this is not the right way to do a ball peg. The facets, you don't do that if you know what you're doing. Alright, so let's put that back on. Okay. His head does sit technically too high for his neck, and you can see inside. I don't know if you're going to be able to on camera. I can see inside very easily. There, I'll blast the brightness so you can see. You can see all the way up in there. No problem at all. And all for this, all you get for that joint is this. He can lean side to side like that. Okay, and obviously he can rotate. But using that hinge that they put on there, like, I'm not sure what it's for, because he can't look up. He can't look up, he can look down a little bit. He's barely able to access or to use that hinge. And, like, it's fine, but a double ball peg would have been better in every direction. So that's unfortunate. We do have a butterfly joint, and it should work well, given that they just totally cut the chest in half. And yeah, it comes across the chest nicely. So if you like butterfly joints and don't care about sculpt, you win for this one. If you care about the sculpt and don't like butterfly joints, you lose for this one. Going back on this guy, it's not as good. It's still fine. Let me do it in a different angle. There. It's still a good butterfly joint. Yeah, I'd say it works pretty well. If you're okay with the sculpt, then it's a good butterfly joint. I have no real complaints about that other than the sculpt issue. For the shoulder, you get up to horizontal just about, so that's pretty good. And you're going to get your full rotation, of course. Your bicep swivel is right here. And then your double jointed elbow. Super stiff. Oh boy, super stiff. But, there we go. Okay, really good range. It looks like a Marvel Legends elbow. Not particularly good looking, but acceptable for a figure like this, I guess. Although at $100, I want to start seeing... It's just like the HasLabs. For the overpriced stuff, they need to not just look like giant Marvel Legends. But the elbow works, the wrists have a swivel and a hinge, that's fine. The gripping hands do not have vertical hinges, so that's probably an oversight. Now, I have to show you this, guys. I didn't want to do this, but they forced my hand by making this happen. You might have noticed when I moved the arm, I grabbed it by the actual shoulder, which is fine, but that's because the arms pop off almost with no effort, like almost zero effort. I don't know how this kind of thing keeps happening with Hasbro. They should have figured out action figures by now. Look, you can see it separating just as I move the arm. And like, it's not the biggest deal, but it takes almost zero effort. That's such a shame. Especially on one of their premium figures, or what should be a premium figure. That's really unfortunate. For the torso, he leans back pretty well. Slightly gappy, that's going to happen if you want the range, so that's fine by me. Leans forward all right too. Double ball peg. So that's alright. Leaning to the side is pretty good. Waist twist is fine. That's the only articulation. There's nothing in the waist. They should have done another ball, if you ask me. But it's okay. For the hips, his legs go out that far. It feels kind of gummy. The whole figure does feel kind of gummy, by the way. Like, not even just the parts that fall off. The whole thing is pretty soft. But he kicks forward, but out to the side. And then he doesn't really go back at all. He goes out to the side pretty far. Almost full splits. So that's nice. I do think, I mentioned this when I was talking about the new Wolverine also. If you're going to put the trunks like this on the leg, just bring them down a little bit more at the hips so when you bend the leg, it doesn't look as awkward. It'd be better if this went higher up. and it doesn't need to go as far down over here. Like, they made sure that this was right in line with this, but as soon as you bend the leg, it looks super weird. So if you want to tuck this in and make the curve match higher up into the crotch and bring this down a little bit, I think it's probably a better look. But that's a really minor issue. That's just me designing, so whatever. It's not like a sticking point or anything. You do get your thigh swivel. That's fine. That's weird. There's a spot there. It looks like a pin, but it's not. So thigh swivel's pretty loose, though. Double jointed knees. Oh, man, this guy's joints are tight, except for the ones that fall apart. Knees work really well. No real problem there. Good range. They look like Marvel Legends knees, so that's all right. And then for the ankles, they go pretty far back, like all the way, and far enough forward, that's okay. You get your ankle rocker. That's pretty steep, but it's there. That's fine. Then you get this toe hinge that is very complicated in terms of a toe hinge. Normally, you don't have that many pieces. And it has very, very minimal range. It moves just a little bit. It's really far back on the foot. It's okay because of the way it's rounded, so that's fine technically. But it barely moves at all, and it's loose. So it's like all of that for a loose toe hinge that doesn't move much. That's strange. And then this part of the ankle is also fairly loose, so he may take shelf dives. Be careful. And then the last thing we have to talk about, oh god, that arm's about to fall off again. The last thing we have to talk about is his tail. It connects on a ball peg here in his butt, which allows it to move around. Kind of. It wants to sag. It likes to fall back down into the bottom position, ultimately. And if you move it, it'll probably go a little faster. It's not the best design. Like, it's so recessed on that ball that you're not getting much range out of it other than rotation. Its sculpt is nice, except it has the holes on the top and the bottom, which I don't think I've seen before on a bendy piece. But it also doesn't bend very well. Like, it does bend some, obviously. It's not straight, but I can't get it to do as much as I would like. Like, the wire's definitely not heavy enough to fight that plastic. So it's a minimally useful bendy tail, so that kind of sucks. So his articulation, I'm going to say, like, his butterfly joint works pretty well, but it's really ugly, so that's kind of not fair. The rest of him is just standard Marvel Legends, either average or not good joints. There's nothing impressive about this guy's articulation at all, other than the complexity of the toe joint to have virtually no range. So his articulation is going to get it a 7 out of 10. It is just acceptable for a Marvel Legends figure. Probably should be lower, honestly, for a $100 Marvel Legends figure. That's pretty hefty price point for Hasbro product. That's not incredible. Okay, so time for the final verdict. Am I happy as a collector to own it? Yes. Do I think it's well overpriced and not an impressive figure other than by Hasbro Marvel Legends standards? Yeah, I think it is all of that stuff. It is too expensive, and it's just a big Marvel Legends figure that happens to be a cool character design, so I think it's going to get a lot of leeway here. And they didn't totally butcher it. The sculpt, I think, is definitely great, other than the chest thing. So if they had done a better job with the paint or better with the articulation, I probably would have been happy with the price point. But given that it feels like a gummy mess and the arms fall off and the paint job is pretty crappy, yeah, it's just... I'm going to give it an overall rating of... If they executed the way they could have, it would have been a 9 out of 10. Just fix the paint, let the arms not fall off and the joints work a little better, like the wings folding. 9 out of 10 easy, because I love the sculpt. But it's still just a Hasbro figure that doesn't feel like they put any extra effort into it other than it has new parts, which should not be a surprising thing, an impressive thing, that we should get new parts all the time. I'm going to have to go 7 out of 10 for $100. It's fine. It's not an impressive figure for $100. It's an impressive figure for $75, but for $100, I feel like they needed to do better. But that's it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will stop talking now. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.